Time for a Bears Now mailbag. I'm Harrison Graham. Appreciate all the questions. Let's start with Bears Addict 07. Name a player that must step up this year. I think a player that we're not talking about enough just in general is Tremaine Edmunds, who the Bears gave good money to last year, 4 years, $72 million, but kind of structured it 2+2. So if he struggles this year, you can get out of it next year for not a huge penalty. Up and down year last year. I mean, the raw stats look decent. He had, I think, 4 interceptions as well. Like, he certainly had a good season, but he didn't have a great one. Like, you paid him to not be as good as Roquan, but be like a notch below. TJ Edwards was better than Tremaine Edmunds for basically 40% of the cost. Like, Tremaine has to be a better player. He just does. Like, you need him to be very, very good. You don't need him to be all pro, but you need him to be a top 20 off-ball linebacker in this league. At least top 20, if not top 15, top 10. That's what you're paying him to be. So he's got to be better. And if he is, and I thought the second half of the year he played better, then you've got one of the best linebacker duos in the NFL. Because TJ Edwards, who doesn't have the physical traits of Tremaine Edmunds, is incredibly instinctive and a hell of a player. And by the way, Jack Sanborn might be the best number 3 in the NFL. So if Edmunds can ramp up his game a little bit, then that back 7 is just absolutely lethal. What do you guys think? I'm seeing a few comments for those watching live. Name a Bears player that you think needs to step up this year. Whether it's someone who struggled last year. Nate Davis, I think, would be a good candidate. Hey, prove us wrong. Like, go out there and be a solid right guard. Like, that would be absolutely fantastic. So, name a player that you think needs to step up this year. Jacob Savini, will Eddie Jackson be signed by September? It's a great question. He won't be by this team. The only way that would happen is if Byard or Jaquan had a serious injury in camp and you could just bring him in because he knows the defense. But, he had kind of a cryptic message like a month or two ago where it almost felt like a retirement post. It was like he finally said his goodbyes to Chicago, but it almost felt more than that. Like, maybe he's just done. His injuries have added up. He's made a lot of money in this league. Maybe he doesn't want to go fight for a roster spot, fight for a starting job, because at this point he may not be given, like, there might not be just a clear starting job for him. So I like Eddie. Good dude. I thought his career could have gone one or two ways once they changed coaching staffs, and he bought into Flus and played really well in 2022, but once he suffered that foot injury late that season, he just wasn't the same this past year, and that's unfortunate for him. Jackson R., do you think Montez Sweat has a chance of making an all-pro since Aaron Donald has retired? I don't think Donald retiring has an impact there, different positions, but I think he has a chance. I think he's got all-pro upside. Now, there's a ton of good pass rushers in this league. He was a Pro Bowler last year, Montez was, so, the next step is all-pro. I'm not expecting all-pro. I'm expecting for him to be a great player. Like, DJ Moore was a great player last year, wasn't an all-pro. Now he probably should have been. But, Sweat, go be that double-digit sack guy you were last year, generate a lot of pressure, and be a dominant run stopper on the edge, which he has been in his career as well. Our next milestone is 95,000 subscribers. We would love to get there by training camp. Got a few weeks, 679 away. Spread the word. Hit the sub button if you haven't. It's free. Give us a shot, man. Watching this channel grow, watching you guys join us on the movement over year has been amazing. Can't thank you guys enough. And the day we get to 100 is going to be special, man, and you guys are all going to be a part of it. So let's get to 95 first, then we go from there. Kevin Warren, draft Travis Hunter next year? If so, would he be a receiver or a corner? That's a good question. I think he's probably a corner in the NFL, but I also think some teams might give him a chance to play both ways. Now, it wouldn't be like it is at Colorado where he's playing heavy snaps on both sides of the football. Like, I remember last year in week 1 when Colorado beat my alma mater, TCU, he played I want to say 105 snaps. I mean, it was crazy. But could he be a full-time corner but also get, 15 snaps a game on offense in the NFL? I think that's doable. He could be a returner in the NFL. So I'm very intrigued by Hunter. The only problem is I think he's going to be a top 5 pick. Unless he just does not play well this year, I expect him to go very high, and I don't expect the Bears to be picking that high. John Alaya, let's trade Herbert to Dallas for Sam Williams. He's their 4th edge rusher now after drafting Marshawn Nealon in the 2nd. Sam Williams he's got baggage, man. That classic Cowboys pick where they take a guy with off-field issues and in year 1 did not really pan out. I guess if it's a situation where you're just going to cut Khalil anyway, which I don't think would happen, but if that situation arose, then sure, trade him take a chance on a guy, but I'm not doing that right now. Like, I'm only doing that if I've come to the conclusion that Roschon is clearly RB2 and Khalil Herbert's expendable, but right now I don't feel that way. Bears goated. What game besides Green Bay are you most excited about? Personally, I'll take Houston week 2. Houston week 2. That one stands out because it's a rare early season game where a team like the Bears, who hasn't been in the spotlight late in the season in a while for a chance to contend, like, that's a statement opportunity. If you take care of Tennessee in week 1, go down to Houston and win on Sunday Night Football in front of a national audience, like, that's pretty meaningful. If the Bears do that, start 2-0, Caleb outshines C.J. Stroud, like, that's pretty fun to think about what that could look like for the rest of the season. So, yeah, I like the Houston call. I think San Francisco week 14, like, that's a tough stretch where you got all those divisional games. The 49ers are in there in the middle too. Like, I don't expect to go win in the Bay, but can you go be competitive late in the year if you're contending for a playoff spot? That's a good measuring stick game as well. Aaron Barg, how many picks do you think Jaylen Johnson will get this year? I'll go 3. I'll go 1 less than last year. I just think that teams just don't throw at him a ton. I'll go 3. I think he'll be productive there, but most importantly, you're not going to get that many completions when you throw at him. The guy's absolute lockdown corner. So I'll go 1 less than last year, but more than his typical year. Rich M, as it pertains to the current quarterback market, how much more do you see Jordan Love making? Furthermore, how much impact will it have on the Packers and the team that can build around him? Well, it's like any other team. You pay a quarterback the going rate for top-tier money, $50+ million, you got to make decisions elsewhere. Now, the Packers are in a unique spot where a lot of their skill, they're kind of the reverse of how a lot of teams build, where they get the rookie QB contract and then pay other guys. Well, Jordan Love didn't start till year 3, till year 4, and now it's year 5 because they gave him that, wasn't the 5th-year option, but they gave him that like 1-year extension that was a little less than a 5th-year option. But all their skill talent is on rookie deals, so they could pay Jordan Love and still keep a lot of their core. Plus, they cut Bakhtiari. That saved them a lot of money. They cut Aaron Jones. So they could pay Jordan Love and still have their core. Now, in 3 years, you're not going to be able to have Christian Watson, Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks. Like, you'll have to pick and choose. But for the short term, for 2-3 years, that core will actually be intact, which is why I fully expect Green Bay to pay up. John Orticelli, Harrison, how concerned are you about not having a veteran quarterback to mentor Caleb Williams? I mean, what if Caleb gets off to a slow start? You're going to throw in Tyson Bagent? Well, number one, no. You're going to let Caleb work through that. Like, if he struggles early on, unless he's just, like, unplayably bad, they're not going to bench him. Like, that's not going to happen. Now, especially earlier in the offseason, was team go sign a Ryan Tannehill, a Tyrod Taylor. He signed pretty quickly with the Jets, but I wanted one of those guys. Tannehill's still out there. Maybe that's still a slight possibility. But I think Brett Rippon has played that role as just the veteran mentor type. Now, obviously, he hasn't played a ton, so he doesn't have that type of experience. But I just think they're kind of rolling with what they got. I think they like Bagent as a playable backup. He's mature beyond his years, and I think they feel like Rippon is a good voice in that room. So I think that's what they're doing. But it certainly wouldn't hurt. I would not be opposed to adding a guy like Ryan Tannehill, who started over 150 games in this league, played in an AFC championship game, been a number 1 seed quarterback in the AFC. Like, that would have value, but Tannehill may not want to come here either. Like, he might be waiting. He might be Joe Flaccoing this thing where he's just waiting it out and seeing if a contending team's quarterback gets injured and has a chance to start. So, it takes 2 to tango. Are you guys going to a Bears game this year at Soldier Field or elsewhere? Maybe you're making the trip to London. Maybe you're going to Lambeau, Houston. Let us know. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Would love to hear from you guys if you plan on going. So let me know in the comments. I'll be reading them. All right, thanks for all your questions. If you didn't get yours asked, well, you got to subscribe and join us live every Monday and Thursday. Today this is a Friday live show, but typically Monday and Thursday, 4 o'clock Central Time is when we go live. That's when we answer all your questions. So be sure to join us next time.